I think it's fine. And in fact, I think it is wise to know when you should do the minimum as part of a plan to get out of where you are. The part of the quiet quitting that I don't think is a good, you better pay me overtime or I'm not doing a moment more. That's called slow firing, as in they're going to replace you and fire you. If you want to do the minimum so you have more time to find your next gig, that I think can be strategic. I have done that before, but you got to at least do the minimum, and you got to know that people who do the minimum get replaced. Quiet quitting is a thing now. I don't know if you've heard about this. Welcome back to Clay and Buck. It's people. Now, there's different variations on it, but it's people who don't want to be expected to go above and beyond at their jobs, refuse to, in fact, and are essentially doing the absolute bare minimum because they value their outside of work time more. It's a way they think of achieving work-life balance, but also of telling the man, so to speak, to back off. And there's a whole trend of people. The Wall Street Journal wrote about this over the weekend because it's caught on so much. On TikTok, there are people talking about quiet quitting. Here's one of them talking about what that actually means.
Hey, Bob, for the next month or two, I'm going to need you to come in an hour or two early and stay a couple hours behind. A little short-staffed and all hands on deck. Oh, sure thing. Are you going to double my pay for the extra hours I'm working? Bob, we pay you a $40,000 a year salary. Of course we're not going to give you overtime. Think of it as a learning experience and giving the company an extra helping hand. Okay. Does this learning experience pay my bills? Or better yet, does it pick up my kids from daycare? No. But there is a performance review next month. What? So that I can get a 5% pay bump versus 3%? Yeah, I'm all set. I'm going to quiet quit. I'm going to quiet what? Quiet quitting. I'm going to come in during my normal working hours next week and do my job. If you need me to do more, you can pay me more. Otherwise, I'm all set. Thanks.
Okay, so that's just one version of the quiet quit so everyone can hear. Shark Tank's Mr. Wonderful, Kevin O'Leary, he has a different feeling on quiet quitting.
Quiet quitting is a really bad idea. If you're a quiet quitter, you're a loser.
Okay, Clay, you've had many employees, through Outkick, and so you've dealt with managing people. I've worked in roles as an employee at very large organizations over the years, and here's what I would say: it is totally, and I'm curious, we haven't pre-discussed this before. I think it's fine, and in fact, I think it is wise to know when you should do the minimum as part of a plan to get out of where you are. The part of the quiet quitting that I don't think is a good, you better pay me overtime or I'm not doing a moment more. That's called slow firing, as in they're going to replace you and fire you. If you want to do the minimum so you have more time to find your next gig, that I think can be strategic. I have done that before, but you got to at least do the minimum, and you got to know that people who do the minimum get replaced.
Yeah, I see this now from both perspectives, as both obviously having been an employee and then running and managing a business. And my advice to everyone out there is, do you want a job or do you want a career? Because there's a difference between the two. If you want a job, then very often I understand the idea of, hey, I'm supposed to work for 8 hours today, and then I want to leave. That's a job. And a lot of people don't really care or enjoy their jobs very much. If you want a career, you got to be willing to work way more than what the bare minimum of your job requirement is. So I always say, Buck, I got into writing while practicing law full time. It took me years of writing to make $100 a week writing. But I loved writing, so I wanted to find a way to make a living doing it, led into radio, led into TV, and you guys are listening to me now. What is your horizon? If your horizon is not, I always tell people, I tell my own kids this, if you don't want your boss's job, then you don't really have an interest in that career. Because that's what I always say to young people out there. look at what someone is doing, not only at your direct boss, but the boss above that. Is that a job you would like to have? If the answer is no, then you should find something else to do because you're not going to have the passion necessary to excel at it. I practiced law. I didn't really enjoy it. I didn't like sitting in a law firm. I didn't like tracking my time in 6-minute increments. I didn't really want my boss's job as a lawyer. And so I was looking for something that I was willing to work at when the clock wasn't always on top of my head thinking, oh my goodness, I've got to be here for this many more minutes. Does that make sense?
Oh,
I bet
yeah.
you've had a lot of jobs versus career.
At the CIA, I liked the work a lot, but I didn't like the long-term career horizons of being an analyst because eventually you're just managing other analysts, right? So it's like a writer. Do you want to be a writer or do you want to be managing other writers? I didn't want to be managing other analysts. I wanted to go do my own thing, and I wanted to work on my own content. But I just say, you're not really – I'm not active on TikTok, and I know it's a Chinese spying app and all this other stuff, but I do occasionally because I got to stay up on the trends, got to be cool.
Yes.
Not really, but I'm trying. And I see this. There's all these people that have these, here's how you should talk to a boss, and and they're all millennials. Or Gen Z, actually. A lot of them are Gen Z. They're like, 25 years old, saying, here's how you should talk to a boss. And I see this, and I'm like, can I do a companion video where I tell everybody, this is a good idea if you want your boss to start thinking about how they can create an HR trail to fire you. Like when the boss says, hey, we're a little short-handed, we need extra help. If you go, sorry, am I getting extra overtime? And are you going to be expanding my job possibilities here forward so that I'm actually getting more benefit? If that's your response to every request for like a little bit of additional help or whatever, they're going to fire you. But by the same token, the right way to quiet quit, and a lot of people I know in government, this is what they do. Because in government, you can totally get away with quiet quitting, which means you're in at 9, you're done at 5. You do nothing beyond what. Now, you may not get promoted. You're not going to excel, but you will not get fired.
It's hard to fire people.
Yeah. But if you want to use your lunch break to go out and interview for jobs every day for that 1 hour, if you want to focus your energy after hours, not on how to be better at your current job, but how to get your next job, I think that's smart quiet quitting. And I have done that myself. So that I will just say this. I have said, I'm just showing up. I'm doing what I have to do here. But and that doesn't mean, you show up hungover and not doing, that's slow firing or actually fast firing, not quiet quitting. But this thing where millennials are saying, I need to not do a great job so that I can have work-life balance. No, find a different job where you can do a great job and have work-life balance. It is possible. So I just think there's a lot of bad advice going around on this thing.
I don't think there's any doubt, especially I think people are cocky because there's such an overwhelming demand to hire people, and there's a lot of really mediocre people that have got jobs that they're probably getting paid more than they ever expected. I remember, Buck, one time going through the McDonald's, I think it was a Wendy's drive-thru, and when I got there, like the person at the Wendy's drive-thru didn't say, hey, here's your food. She just said, like she didn't even speak. She just said, to get my attention. And I thought to myself, this is probably what it looks like when there is almost a 0% unemployment rate and fast food workers are desperate. They don't even have people passing you your food who are speaking. They just groan.